Welcome back to Football Daily Weekly. I'm your host today, stepping in for both Marcus and Lawrence, who are apparently too busy on another football channel covering deadline day. We don't need them. We've got Squawka Dave here, and we've also got Adam Keyworth from Blue Moon Rising TV. Guys, thanks for coming in. We're talking about the 5 things we learned from this weekend's action, starting with Chelsea Man City. It was a very tight game. How happy were you with the point there at Stamford Bridge?
If you'd have told me on Saturday morning we'd get a point and it'd be 1-1,
yeah,
I'd probably have taken it. But after about 60 minutes, I've come away quite disappointed. I think Mourinho paid us the biggest compliment by finishing the game with 5 defenders.
It was hyped up as the biggest game of the season. Didn't quite live up to it. Were you disappointed, or did you find it entertaining?
I didn't think it was the best game I've ever seen this season. But it's Mourinho played for the draw and he got the draw. So that's pretty much it. If you look at Mourinho's stats from him being leading at Christmas, he's gone on to win at every single club he's been at, which is pretty incredible. If you're looking at Chelsea as well, if they're top at Christmas, the 3 times they've been top at Christmas, they've gone on to win the Premier League, once under Ancelotti and twice under Mourinho. So it's kind of looking like Mourinho is just doing his thing again.
Diego Costa was out for the game.
Yeah.
Cesc Fabregas. How much do you think they missed those players?
Massive, absolutely massive. Cesc Fabregas is going to be the reason why Chelsea win the league.
Yeah.
He should still be at Barcelona and controlling their tempo. They're missing that at the moment. And now he's come to Chelsea. He's completed the most passes in the Premier League. He's created the most chances in the Premier League. And he's got the most assists in Europe's top 5 league with 15 assists, which is brilliant. He is the best player in the Premier League right now for me.
What do you think it means for City's title hopes then? Is this a good sign for them? They were the better team in the game. Does it show maybe they're going to catch up with Chelsea?
I'd say performance-wise, it's promising.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we haven't played that well for a long time. We haven't dominated possession that well for a long time, especially with Nasri out, and he's usually the one. He's one of the best in the league at keeping the ball. And we did that really well. The first time Fernando and Fernandinho have really clicked as well. That's promising. But if you look at City's title run-ins in the past, in 11-12, we were 8 points behind United in April. In last year's season, 13-14, we were 9 points behind Liverpool in April. So anyone writing City off now, especially after losing 0 points to Chelsea over both games.
So it's 5 points now between the two teams. See what happens. Okay, so let's go to Italy. Inter Milan in crisis, or so the headlines say. They lost 3-1 to Sassuolo over the weekend. What's going wrong, Dave?
I think it's more of what's not going right for them. They've signed Lucas Podolski, who didn't fit in at all at Arsenal. And it seems like they're trying to play him on the left wing, which for me, Podolski's a striker. It's not working for them. The Shaqiri's sort of come in, but he didn't have the best game against Sassuolo. He attempted 11 crosses, completed 1, only created 1 chance, only had 3 shots. For Shaqiri, that's quite low. You're looking at the World Cup, I think he was averaging about 5 shots a game. That's when it's vintage Shaqiri. So I think Shaqiri's still adjusting. Podolski, I don't think he's going to adjust. And then the defence is all over the place.
Mancini came in November. They were 12 points off the top. Now they're 23 points off the top. 8 points to the European places. Obviously, he's an ex-Man City manager. What do you reckon? Is he the right man for Inter Milan? Or
I'm not even sure it's that. I mean, the other thing is Sassuolo beat them 3-1 quite comfortably so. But in the first fixture this season, Inter battered them 7-0. So I think the problems are running a lot deeper than whoever the manager is. As you alluded to, that some of the players are completely underperformed against Sassuolo. The defence is all over the show. With Mancini, it's a tough one. There's so much discord with the players and the fans at the minute. You have to wonder how the players are reacting to Mancini coming back in.
It didn't look too good when was it Icardi and Guara, and they went to the fans and were like, "Oh yeah, take our shirts," sort of thing, and they were threw back in their faces. And then Icardi sort of kicked off, didn't he?
I feel a bit sorry for Icardi because he came on and he made a real difference. Obviously, he scored a goal, but Freddie Guerrero was absolutely rubbish throughout the game. He deserved the shirt coming back.
He deserved it back in his face.
He really did. But I think Inter have really got to build on that young core of Shaqiri, Kovacic, and Icardi. If they can get those players playing in the system together, it will be positive for Inter. They can come back. But I think this season's got to be. They've got to bring on these young players. I think they've just got to try and use this academy that's half decent, get some players through the system, and then start again next year. I think you've just got to write it off. Start getting on the right track. Yeah,
they're 13th now, so it's not looking too good for them. So Arsenal, they hammered Aston Villa on Sunday. It was Villa, to be fair, but they've won 3 games in a row now for the first time this season. Last 3 games, they've scored 10, conceded 0. Looking good for that Champions League place, aren't they?
Olivier Giroud has in fact scored more goals than Aston Villa this season.
That is
which sort of is a standout fact. But yeah, I think Arsenal are really sort of kicking the gear. The City games really pushed them on, and I think they've got a lot of belief back. The likes of Mesut Ozil coming back. Cazorla has been wonderful this season. Against Villa, he obviously created 4 chances, 2 assists, scored a penalty. You know, he's got to score those penalties. It was a terrible penalty, but this season he's taken 5 penalties and scored 5 goals. So you can't argue. You can't argue with that. Maybe he's going cheeky down the middle and it didn't quite come off. But.
What's encouraging for Arsenal is Sanchez obviously is rested ahead of the North London derby next week, but 5 different goal scorers, like you said, Ozil's back, Walcott's back, Welbeck's coming back. They've got so much depth in their squad. Surely that's going to give them 4th.
Yeah, I think they are looking really good. I think what's really stood out for me is, especially against City, 35% possession. It's the lowest they've had since 2003, which is mind-blowing to think that they were comfortable against us. They're back to the counter-attacking Arsenal. They'll sit back, they'll hold off, and then they'll break really quickly. I think the other thing is Coquelin. I didn't know too much about him until he stepped in. He's taken over that role. Everyone's saying Arsenal need to sign a deep line playmaker, they need a defensive midfielder. And they've got one. Yeah. He looks really solid, and he's allowing Ramsey and Cazorla, Ozil to get forward and play their game, which is encouraging for Arsenal. I think the other thing is Ospina in goal.
Those 3 clean sheets now, isn't it, in a row?
Despite the awful Arsenal chant for him, he's really good, and his distribution.
What's the chant?
Oh, when he takes the goal kick, Ospina. It's awful, but his distribution is superb. Okay. And I think that's the other thing. Him and Giroud. He's hitting Giroud every time he wants.
Szczesny's not getting back in the team then, is he?
He's not. But yeah, I think if they keep in this vein of form, I think they're well on for 3rd. So
yeah, it's getting pretty tight now, that top 4 race. I think there's 5 points between Manchester United in 3rd and Liverpool in 6th. So who do you think are going to be, let's assume City and Chelsea are going to be 1st and 2nd. Who's going to be 3rd and 4th? I
think it'll be United and Arsenal. I really do. I think Spurs, they're looking good. But one injury to Harry Kane or Christian Eriksen out, you could see them dropping off.
Speaking of Harry Kane, so Spurs strolled to a pretty easy win in the end against West Brom with Harry Kane on the score sheet again. He got 2 goals. So he scored 20 in all competitions this season. That's more than any other Premier League player. He's the man, isn't he?
He is. What I like about Harry Kane is he loves to bustle. He loves to close people down. He loves to put himself around.
Oh, yeah.
You know, his shot accuracy is 55%, which is pretty top for a player to consistently hit the target at that rate. It's really good. What also is really good with Harry Kane is he likes to finish in the bottom corners. If you look at his goals that he scored outside the box this season in the Europa League and the Premier League, they're going right in the bottom corners. So he scored 4 goals from outside the area, all gone in the bottom corners. It's just, it's incredible. That's what I think Harry Kane has got a really good technique there.
Yeah,
strikers.
He's got great finishing. He's strong. He's quick. But you still see people saying, he's not all that. He's in form. We're all hyping him up too much. What do you reckon? Do you think he's?
I think that might be the sticking point. Not yet. I think what he's been brilliant at is kept himself under the radar, and his attitude seems to be really good. He keeps coming out and saying, "Well, I'll set myself a target of 10, score 10, I'll score 20, and then he'll keep kicking on." So his attitude's there. I think you've got the English problem. He's 21. He's English. He's a goal scorer. Everyone immediately says, right, England's future. What the press needs to do, what we all need to do, is just leave him, let him score his goals, and then he's a dead cert for the England team, isn't he?
He's got to be in the next squad.
I think we just need to keep the pressure off.
He's just signed a new long-term contract, so great news for Spurs fans.
I think it's good news for everyone as well that he's not being touted about for a £40 million move, because again, it's just more pressure and it's more, I'm a £40 million player.
There was a rumour it was the Express, to be fair, saying Real Madrid were interested, yeah?
See, there's the problems. It's English player, young, Real Madrid.
Bale and Kane together, once more.
What more could you want? So last but not least, the last thing we learned is that Bayern Munich are not invincible. Come back from the winter break, they lost their unbeaten run in the league 4-1 to Wolfsburg. It hasn't exactly blown the title race wide open, but
people have played against Pep Guardiola's teams in a certain way, but it really clicked with Wolfsburg. They hit them on the counter-attack, they had a target man up front, they were playing crosses in behind the defence. It was a perfect display from Wolfsburg. I think that was Bayern Munich's first defeat in 13 months. So, it's one of those things where it's really odd. And Kevin De Bruyne, arguably man of the match, scored 2 goals, got an assist. One of his goals was really interesting. It was sat on the halfway line, and the 3 Bayern Munich centre-halves were closer to his own box than him, and he just, he took it, went clean through, scored a goal, brilliant finish, cheeky look back to Jerome Boateng, see where he is, and then slotted it away.
That's the thing, they expose, so they're playing so high up the pitch, Bayern Munich, when pace comes at them. That's exposed, last season against Real Madrid, obviously. But so they'd only conceded 4 goals all season in the league before that game, doubling the amount of goals they conceded. But what do you think this means by me? They're still going to walk the title, aren't they?
I think they might just be getting complacent. You talk about the defenders sitting on the halfway line. I was watching it and thinking, what are you doing? Just defend. They're so good, and that league is not competitive by any stretch of the imagination. They're 8 points clear still. And they should walk the league from here still, even though they've just been battered. But they do seem complacent. I still think that Bayern Munich are the team that we think they are when they want to be. They've got Shakhtar in the Champions League. They've got to be up there with the favourites for the Champions League still. The players they've got.
So you're saying they're maybe a little bit complacent. Do you think maybe Guardiola hasn't done his lesson from when they got smashed by Madrid last season? Similar thing, counter-attacking football. Should Bayern Munich fans be worried if they get through past Shakhtar, they come up against Barcelona, Chelsea, Madrid again?
I think that what really was good as well was the 2 holding midfielders, Luis Gustavo and Max Arnold, that were sitting. And the likes of Real Madrid could potentially play that way. The likes of Chelsea do play that way with Matic and Fabregas holding, sitting from time to time. So I think there could be some issues in the Champions League. They do need to get this complacency out. They do need to start performing again. Maybe they just, they turned up to the game, of course we're going to win this. But then Wolfsburg are going to be pumped up with the whole, Julian Malanda. They're going to be fired up. They're going to want to win the game for him. And it was just massive complacency. And that's what, Guardiola will have to kick out the squad, or, he potentially may have to sign another player, or they need something else.
Maybe they do need a fresh face in there.
Messi maybe reuniting with Guardiola.
That'd work, wouldn't it?
That wouldn't be bad. There you have it. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Dave and Adam for coming in. Be sure to check out Blue Moon Rising TV and subscribe there for all the best Man City fan videos. And also, I think Dave's got a special message.
Happy birthday, Dad.
There you go. Isn't that lovely? We'll be back on Thursday with a Q&A, so we'll see you then.